time is folding and collapsing in on itself. This folding and collapsing of the current timeline is creating an opening for us to create in new and novel ways, to create timelines that have not been walked on the earth plane for centuries. And so I want to ask you a question. What would you create if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do in this lifetime if you knew that you would succeed? Thank you for joining me for this frequency intel. I'm going to be sharing the beneficial frequencies that are available for us to work with at this time. And these frequencies, by frequency, I'm referring to bandwidths of information, bandwidths of technology that can inform the way that we use language. And so I'm going to be going into the word failure in this frequency intel today. And we're going to be using the technology of language and the technology of our intention to repattern the frequency of that beautiful word that is very powerful and potent when we shift our belief system around it. So we are in this time, beginning of February 2024, and the prominent frequency that really dropped in and wants to support us, wants to work with us. And we can think of frequency as an intelligence. It is an intelligence that is here on the planet for us to create and play with and support our growth and expansion. And those of us who have chosen the timeline of awakening, those of us who have chosen to create a new reality here on earth, to say no to the reality that we've been living in and creating from for thousands of years, are really here being supported as we work with the frequencies that are benevolent on the planet, and the frequency that is here to support us. Thank you for joining me live, everyone who's here. Is the frequency of emptiness. And this frequency, when we say the word emptiness, we can connect into the frequency of this word, and the frequency has a gentleness, it has a softness, it has a spaciousness to it, and there's also a scintillating kind of energy to it, where the energy is moving. It's not stagnant. We think of emptiness if we go into our old belief system. We're going to repattern the word frequency right now as well. When we go into our old belief system on the old timeline and we feel into emptiness, it has the connotation of nothingness. So we're going to reclaim this beautiful word emptiness, because it connotes, it calls forward, it helps us reference the void of all potential. And so when we feel into the word emptiness now, and we feel into the scintillating vibration of the word emptiness, we literally open this beautiful frequency that's teeming with potential. Just take a moment to feel the frequency of emptiness with that belief system in place. This is teeming with potential. It starts to make your body tingle. It starts to activate and enliven our innocent wonder. And that is the power of this beautiful frequency that's here to work with us, is an activation of our curiosity. So there's a tipping point. We're in a new tipping point on the planet now, and we have access to frequencies, to information or energies of potential, this emptiness that we haven't had access to for thousands of years. So I'm talking about us being the creators, the creator gods, that we are and reclaiming that. And as the collective vibration continues to rise, as we continue to choose in each moment to know that we're creating our reality, to take responsibility for what our world looks like outside of us, and then to change our internal belief systems. Everything comes from our belief systems. A thought plus a belief plus an action creates our reality. And so as the collective vibration continues to rise and more people can make the choice to say, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to take charge of my life, I'm going to change what I don't like that's going on in my world, and to create a new reality, to reach for more. We are accessing planes of existence that hold potentials where we can do anything that we set our minds to, where we can create new possibilities, new experiences, and we can reach fulfillment where we previously have not been able to become fulfilled, which is one of the reasons why we're here on this planet, is to fulfill our dreams, to fulfill our desires, to create in new and novel ways. That is why we're here on the planet. We're here to grow consciousness. And how we grow consciousness is we create through experiences, and we can choose what those experiences are and where they're coming from. So we have the potential in this new tipping point, more and more people waking up. That's what I'm referring to when I say we're at a new tipping point, to create from the deepest soul desires that we are. And so I'll ask that question again. What would you create if you knew you could not fail? Such a beautiful question. And what would you do? What do you long for? What do you want to experience? So I want to dive into the frequency of failure and help us repattern this beautiful technology of the word failure into a new paradigm, into a benevolent frequency that we use to propel us forward in our explorations. And so failure is perceived or believed to be, historically, it holds a negative frequency for us, many of us. And so we want to shift that negative frequency into a benevolent, positive frequency. And we want to take our power back to explore, because when we explore, we are going to have successes and failures. And if we pit those two against each other and make them dualistic, one is good, success is good, failure is bad. If we hold ourselves in that old paradigm of good and bad, black and white thinking, then we can't step into this new reality. And that's why I'm really emphasizing that we have the power to change the meaning, the inherent meaning of a word, to be beneficial to us. Therefore, we're changing the frequency of the word to be a high vibrating frequency, the vibration of love or above, from a lower vibrating frequency, because all language is technology, and it's all beneficial if we have a coded belief system around a particular word that is benevolent. And so the historic meaning or frequency that we've had, the belief system that we've had around failure, is tied to our expectations not being met in some way. And what we've tied even deeper to an expectation is our self-worth and to the outcome of a particular experience that we're choosing to have. So when we see this and we engage with the word failure in a new way, we can change the frequency to a benevolent frequency, releasing the limiting beliefs and expectations which they're predicated by judgment. So we're dismantling judgment out of our experience of what we're creating. And that is highly empowering when we release judgment of the experiences that we're creating as good or bad, right or wrong, and we just see it as an experience. Then we are repatterning the word failure. We're broadening our perception and asking questions instead of allowing an emotion of I'm bad, I'm shameful, I didn't do it right. And these low vibrational emotions really pull us out of the vibration of limitless love, of limitless potential, of joy, of compassion, of gratitude, and into lower vibrational frequencies. So when we move beyond an emotion attached to our experience, the outcome of our experience, and we simply see our experience as if something doesn't go the way that we prefer it to go, then we can begin to simply broaden our experience, pull back, pull out of the experience, see it from a distance, and begin to ask questions. That gives us, that empowers us to have experiences and to move in a way in which enlivens and activates us to reach for more, to look at experiences as all empowering, as all supportive, as all beneficial. Because we're pulling back and we're saying, well, what is the gold that I can receive from this experience? It didn't go as planned. It's not something I want. It's not something I want to repeat. That belief system around failure is highly empowering, because then we begin to mine the gold from the experience and say, oh, I see now there's another way to approach this experiment that I am creating and to have another outcome. And maybe that outcome is going to be something that I enjoy, and maybe it's going to be something that I don't enjoy, but I'm not framing it in a polarity. I'm not framing it in a dualistic structure. I'm framing it in what else is possible, what else is available to me. And therefore, failure becomes an elegant part of our experience of creation here on earth, and that's what we're here to do. So the strategy that is coming for us to work with this week with this information of, I can repattern any word that I see as negative. I can repattern it as a positive frequency, a benevolent frequency that is supportive of me in my growth and expansion. And it's supportive of me seeing myself more clearly. It's supportive of us seeing and loving ourselves in the midst of what we're creating. And so the strategy of exploration is what we want to pull in and begin to utilize to work with this emptiness. And exploration so how do we get into exploration? I love this so much. We become the innocent, aroused by life's possibilities. We become the innocent, aroused by life's possibilities. We move into that juicy, gorgeous state of curiosity and wonder. And these are the archetypal energies of the maiden and the summoner. The maiden being the feminine archetype, and the summoner being the masculine archetype. And when we weave those two frequencies together, the masculine and feminine energies of this archetypal energy of the innocent explorer, we can enter the emptiness of innocence and ask these three questions. these beautiful 3 questions. And we can set an intention when we ask these questions. And that intention is, I'm ready to explore other possibilities and realities. So setting that intention, I am ready to explore other possibilities and other realities. And when we move into this openness, this expansiveness, this scintillating, vibrating energy of curiosity, this arousal by life, the arousal by what else is possible, we can ask, what is here now? Because we want to reference what is currently happening in our internal reality. We don't want to bypass, we don't want to ignore, and we don't want to scapegoat what we are currently experiencing. We want to honor and accept what is here now. And when we ask that question, it opens a portal in our interior world for us to know what is actually true. So that is the first question to ask. What is here now? And move into the space of complete acceptance of what is here now. We're accepting ourselves. We're accepting our own truth that is happening inside of us in the current moment, which brings us into full focus and presence and into our authenticity, into our state of accepting what is true in this moment. And then once we've presenced ourselves with the actuality of our current state, our current emotions, our current thoughts, our current frequency, our current vibration, then we can ask the second question, what else is there? What else is there? And that begins the expansion. You can feel when you ask that question, you can feel this frequency of the expansion of our cells, the expansion of the light within us, the expansion of our light bodies. We are accessing a deeper truth, a more expansive reality than the confined reality that we've been trained to believe is the only reality. And it's simply not true. There are multiple realities. There are multiple universes. There are multiple holographic fields within the one field. That is fractographic holographic science, right? Fractal geometry is the expression, it's the scientific explanation of the multiverse. And so once we're open and we're receptive to what else is there, then we start to glean information from a higher aspect of self, from a more conscious aspect of ourselves, from what I would refer to as the superconscious self or the superconscious mind. We've literally given ourselves a key by asking that question, what else is there? And unlocked a door that we previously haven't had access to in our internal reality. That is the void that holds all potential. And then once we're in that expanded space and we're starting to download information, we're starting to have whoa, ahas, and wow, I had no idea that was inside of me. We start to access that beautiful innocence of the maiden and the summoner archetypal energy that we all carry. Then we can ask an even more expansive question. And I love this question. I love doing this practice. And that is to ask, well, what else is possible? And this is where we fold and collapse time and space into the 0 point field, into the void, into the place of all potential, into the infinity of consciousness. and we start to be available and trustworthy with more. This is a superpower that is now available to us because of this tipping point that we've reached, and that these new awarenesses are available to us. These are the sacred codes of being human and being in our creatorship, in our creatrix energy, in our God source energy, and accessing new fields of potential, new possibilities, new awarenesses, new frequencies at a vibration that we have never experienced in this lifetime. So we're becoming these beautiful adept explorers, and that's what we're being invited into. That was the download that I was receiving, and this superpower of becoming comfortable in the void is beyond any of the other superpowers. These are the teachings from the mystery schools in ancient Egypt and other cultures, in the Sumerian cultures, in Atlantis and Lemuria and on Mu. These are the sacred mystery school teachings that we are now trusted with accessing. So that is what I'm sharing with you, is an ancient mystery school teaching of how to access possibilities and potentials that give us the power, the literal power to create new realities. So I am super stoked with this information that's been coming from the consciousness of Ra, that I've been downloading and sharing and writing and embodying myself. You know, these are practices that I use and that I work with until I really understand them, and then I feel comfortable sharing them because I have a lived experience of them. I have a lived experience of instantaneously changing my reality using these practices. So we are really literally leaving the old paradigm and stepping into the new paradigm and the unknown, and really allowing for that collapsing and folding of time in upon itself, so that we can then move out into feeling safe. You know, feeling safe to explore these new realities, and knowing that it's okay to let go of the old life that we've created, because we are stepping into creating in new ways, and we can't hold on to the old identity that we've created from, and at the same time create from these new realities, these new identities, this knowing of ourselves as the creator gods and goddesses that we are. And so we have to feel safe and secure in knowing that it is safe to release the old masks and identities that we created. And that can take some time. So I really want to invite us all into a great sense of compassion and understanding for where we are right now, and acceptance. And there's no rush with any of this. There's no actual time, and so you can't miss out. And so not forcing ourselves into experiences that we're not ready for. That takes us back to the first question of what is here now, and really honoring, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to change my whole identity. I'm still going to hold on to parts of my identity that make me feel safe and secure, and really honoring that. Honoring where you are. That is the most benevolent and loving thing that we can do for ourselves. And it unlocks the keys to us trusting ourselves and feeling safe with ourselves to make decisions for ourselves that are right for us, regardless of what anyone around us is doing. We are insourcing our stability by doing this, by honoring where we are and discerning, am I ready? Am I not ready? Am I ready to explore more? Am I not ready to explore more? I'm okay where I am. And I'm not feeling safe to change today, so I'm going to stay in my stubbornness. I'm going to stay in my stuckness. And I'm going to honor that I'm making that choice from a place of truth. And so I also want to share 7 ways to move into a state of feeling safe and secure to explore the void. And these may be things that we want to practice before we step into those bigger explorations of collapsing identities and then moving into those 3 beautiful questions that I just shared with you. So when we move into states of consciousness where our logical mind is turned off, and we have access to our super conscious mind, our super conscious knowing, to more information than we have access to when we're in our logical mind, when we're in our old identities, which our logical mind is tied to our old identities. It's the subconscious beliefs and programming that we tend to operate out of if we're not consciously aware in present, in this moment, in focus and attention to what is truly happening when we're in the observer position of our reality. So that's why we want to move into these this mind states that science would talk about this, neuroscience would talk about this, and we want to move into theta and delta brainwave states. And those are the states of consciousness where we are in the hypnagogic state, where we have access to more of our awareness. And so we want to be able to expand our awareness and move out of our logical minds and enter non-local or non-ordinary reality. Non-local, non-ordinary reality. And there are many, many ways to do this, but I want to share 7 that are the most potent and self-affirming and self-supportive and self-generated ways of moving into non-local and non-ordinary reality states so that we're in control. We're not relying on a substance outside of ourselves to get into those states. We're relying and trusting that we have the potential to move into our God source, into our true self, and access states of consciousness that we don't normally have access to in our ordinary waking reality. That's why we term this non-ordinary or non-local reality. And so the first way that I do this is I use Yoga Nidra. And Yoga Nidra is the highest form of yoga. And there are a lot of people out there who are providing Yoga Nidra for others. My go-to person is Tracy Stanley. She wrote a book called Radiant Rest. It is my definitive Bible on how to move into non-ordinary reality through Yoga Nidra. And I encourage you to connect with her. Tracy is spelled Tracee, Stanley. And so I encourage you to connect with her and explore Yoga Nidra as a way to move into non-ordinary reality. The second way that I want to encourage you to connect with non-ordinary reality or move out of your logic and explore the consciousness that you are is mantra meditation. Anything that creates a repetition can move us into non-ordinary reality. So mantra meditation, and there are a lot of people who are sharing mantra meditation, YouTube videos, all of those sorts of things. But really what you're doing is you're picking a mantra and you're repeating it over and over again. Excuse me. And when your mind drifts off, when your logical mind comes back in and starts talking to you about your grocery list or your to-do list, you simply acknowledge it, you ignore it, and you move back to your mantra. You focus on the mantra. And the third way of moving into non-ordinary reality is shamanic drum. So if you have a drum, continuing to beat the drum in a very rhythmic fashion will move you into non-ordinary reality. The other thing that will move you into non-ordinary reality is a guided shamanic journey with a drum beat underneath the guided journey. So there are lots of people. Sandra Ingerman would be my go-to person for shamanic drum journeys. That is highly accessible. She's highly accessible. She's one of my very first teachers 30 some years ago. And I encourage you to connect with Sandra Ingerman and listen to one of her shamanic journeys and move into non-ordinary reality. Practicing this will help us feel safe doing it on our own without anything extra coming into our field to move into those states. And the next thing that I want to encourage us to work with is chanting. Chanting, Sanskrit chanting in particular, is incredibly powerful to move you very quickly into non-ordinary reality. You move into the bliss state with Sanskrit chanting. And so the next thing that can move us into that space is, I think this is the fifth thing that can move us into that space, is one-pointed focus meditation. My practice is candle gazing for one-pointed focus meditation. I stare at a candle, and every time my logical mind comes in and interrupts my focus of examining, being curious about the flame, what color is it, how's it moving, why is it changing, what is causing the changes to it. This takes us out of distraction and moves us into single pointed focus where we are in charge of our reality. We are in charge of our minds. We are choosing what we are choosing to focus upon. And so candle gazing, one pointed focus meditation is very powerful for creating a focus of intention for being in the present moment. Ram Dass, be here now, baby. So that's super powerful. And the sixth way is to set an intention and to use sound, vibration, sound, frequency. Listening to binaural beats, especially binaural beats with a frequency of 2 hertz. 2 hertz literally clears your mind. It immediately drops you into a state of non-ordinary reality where you expand into other realities, where you tap into the invisible world and you start to access the portals of potential within. You start to access the 0-point field inside of you. And the seventh way that I want to encourage you to explore moving into non-ordinary reality is breathwork. Holographic, holotropic breathwork is very, very powerful. It's very physical. It's very visceral. It's very different from the other practices. Chanting and breathwork can both be very similar. So if you're into chanting, you're gonna like breathwork. If you're into breathwork, you're probably gonna resonate really well with chanting. Very physical, very somatic experiences. The other experiences are more quiet and internal. So exploring these ways of moving into non-ordinary reality and finding what works for you, and recognizing that we are always changing and growing and morphing and moving and becoming. And there may be times when a quieter practice like yoga nidra is going to be beneficial to you. And there may be times when chanting is really going to blow open non-ordinary reality for you in a way that yoga nidra isn't providing for you at certain times. So really being flexible and using all 7 of these ways at the appropriate time, in the appropriate space, in the appropriate way that is right for you. And this also takes us out of our old rigid structures of I have to do it this way. This is the way it happens for me. And saying, no, I am multiplicity. I am ever constantly changing, growing, and expanding. And when something works for me at one point and something else is going to work for me at another point. So this unlocks us from rigidity and thinking that we have to do things in a certain way. This helps us dissolve our old identities of stuckness and open our hearts to expand into new potentials of reality. So, emptiness, that's the frequency that's here for us today. And I want to end this frequency intel with some love and encouragement. And I want to do that with expressing some caution with this work. This is powerful work. This is sacred work that I'm sharing with you. And we want to be sure that we do not mistake the power of innocence for naivety. When we're moving into non-ordinary reality, it's really important that we are not naive, that we are not hail fellow, well met to everything that comes into our awareness. So when we explore the void, when we explore these higher states of consciousness, when we access our true divine nature, we are we're moving into bandwidths of information where there is a lot more going on in the spirit world, in the other realms, in the other realities. And when we explore the void, it's imperative that we take with us our earned wisdom and we self-source our foundational stability, our undefined worthiness, and our unbounded significance. It's very important that we not be naive when we're practicing exploring the void and other realities. So to use the sword of discernment and cut through all illusion and false identities of disempowerment that we may be operating out of. So we want to be really crystal clear and truthful about what is happening internally in this moment. Where am I operating from? Where am I making choices from? So that is my cautionary tale with this beautiful work that I'm sharing with you, that I'm inviting you into. And I just want to say that thank you so much to all of you who are here with me live. I'm so grateful. And it's so much fun to connect with you in this way and to see your names flowing through and popping up on the screen, and to share this really sacred wisdom with you. And I want to give just a moment of thanks to the consciousness of Ra, to the all that is, for guiding us and trusting us with this really sacred information and practices to expand our potentials and to embody our creatorship. So I will look forward to seeing you on the Frequency Intel next week. And in the meantime, may love accompany you with every breath.